Welcome to a bad recap of Prometheus, a movie about how God is dead and we have killed him. I'm recording this video downstairs instead of under my bed because my dog was lonely. Say hi, Charlie. No, don't lick the mic. The movie opens with some lovely panning over tranquil scenery. Damn, this looks beautiful. Imagine how nice a Walmart supercenter would look right there. Next to a waterfall, a very muscular alien takes a shot of... Ugh. I guess that alien was a lightweight because that single shot was enough to end his day drinking. And his life. He breaks down his DNA, his body disintegrates, and he falls into the water below, where his DNA starts to recombine to create life. This is actually DLC for the Bible. We then jump forward in time to the year 2089 and see a recording of my colonoscopy. This is Elizabeth and Charlie, two archaeologists who have made a grand discovery in cave paintings across the world. No, that's the wrong painting. They find the same image on cave walls from different ancient civilizations, depicting a tall man saluting like a famous Austrian painter. They interpret these drawings as a map to the homeworld of humanity's creators, so an expedition is funded to go say hi. 4 years later, the research vessel Prometheus is 327 trillion kilometers from Earth. The exact same distance I'm not allowed to be within of a school. Its crew of scientists are in cryosleep while the ship is monitored by David, an artificial android who spends his free time learning ancient languages, watching Fernando Alonso's Sigma edits, and spying on the dreams of the crew. Okay, yeah, that's kind of weird. This guy's definitely a freak. Oh wait, he's bullied? Why didn't he say? Eventually they reach their destination, so David wakes everyone up. The other crew members are kind of rude to David, treating him like trash. Why are they so mean? Don't they know he's a baller? They gather for a mission brief from the director because apparently they signed up for 2 years of space travel without asking why. She plays a recording from the man who funded their mission, and he explains that, if you're watching this recording, I am dead, and am definitely not hiding in the walls of your ship. He also introduces them to David, claiming he's the
closest thing to a son I will ever have.
So what he's saying is he's a virgin. Elizabeth and Charlie then take the floor and explain their cave discovery, telling everyone they followed a map left by ancient civilizations to the home planet of their creators. The other scientists don't think some caveman scribbles are enough to justify a $1 trillion mission across space, like, hey, that's a nice theory, why don't you back it up with a source?
My source is, I really hope I'm correct.
They fly the ship down through the atmosphere, which they detect is unbreathable. They also don't pick up any radio signals or heat sources, meaning there's no life forms down there. I mean, unless they're cold-blooded and don't use radios. Idiots. But Charlie notices some straight lines, which must mean there's a civilization, because
God does not build in straight lines.
Oh yeah? Ever heard of the Great Wall of China? They land next to some dome-like structure, likely the planet's nipple, and equip some spacesuits that somehow look both high-budget and extremely cheap simultaneously. The small team consists of Elizabeth and Charlie, the archaeologists, a geologist, a biologist, a medic, and David, the sentient toaster, with suit cameras to livestream the exploration for the ship. Using Syndrome's scanning device from The Incredibles, they map out the entirety of the underground structure, generating a 3D map back on the ship. Oh, well, I guess it will be impossible for people to get lost now. Right. They make their way deeper into the cave system, eventually reaching an area that seems to have breathable air. As these are highly skilled scientists, they conduct some further testing before... Wait, is he taking his helmet off? I mean, on one hand, he's a moron, but on the other hand, he's just a gambler. They come across some weird alien panel interface on the wall, which David manages to activate because, well, he studied ancient human languages, therefore can speak alien. This triggers a holographic recording of aliens running through the tunnel. Damn, I wonder what they're running from. I'm sure we'll find out. Right. The recording leads to an alien body. Oh, look, he's just having a snooze. Wait, where's his head? The geologist starts freaking out because if he isn't looking at a rock, he's limp in the cock. So he heads back to the ship with the biologist. Oh, I'm sure they won't get lost since they already have the entire structure mapped out. Right? David starts fingering more alien panels, trying to open the door that decapitated the alien. The other scientists are like, no, don't.
We don't know what's on the other side.
Oh, yeah, sure we do. His head. That head is way too big for that body. Oh, that's just a statue. Oh, there's the head. That makes more sense. Other than the funny Easter Island head, the room is filled with mysterious cylinders that start sweating and leaking goo. Just like, no, that joke isn't even funny. I can't say that. Oh, David, stop fingering everything you see. Back on the Prometheus, they detect a massive storm, so order everyone back to the ship. So they leave with the alien head, and David steals one of the goopy cylinders. They make it back to the ship just before the storm hits and begin decontaminating themselves when they realize the geologist and biologist are still in the structure. But how? I mean, they have the entire thing everything mapped out, and their suits are constantly being tracked on the ship. Ugh, that's like me getting lost going from the hot tap to the cold tap. The captain says they can't rescue them until the storm passes, so they have to survive the overnight cave challenge. Ugh, the rest of the crew must be really upset about leaving 2 men behind. Nope, they don't care. They conduct a scan on the alien head to reveal it's wearing a helmet, which they remove to reveal... is that a rock? They notice like acne or something on the head, so stab it with a taser to trick the nervous system into thinking it's alive. Oh god, his head is expanding. Oh, maybe he's thinking, yeah. Oh no, he's thinking too hard. I think he just busted. Elizabeth examines the remains of the thinking alien and analyzes its DNA, revealing it's a perfect match to humans, which means biologically they aren't aliens, they're humans. But they do live in space, so they're still aliens. But they technically don't live in space, they're dead. Oh, piss. I wish there was a biologist on the ship who could clear this up. David is then seen talking with someone in cryosleep. We're not told who it is, but it definitely isn't that old guy from the mission brief recording, I promise. He then grabs his alien cylinder and just starts raw-dogging its contents. Ugh, consequences be damned, he's just a silly goose. He extracts a single drop of the weird black goop, which gives him a great idea. He's gonna spike one of his colleagues' drinks. He hands Charlie a glass of wine or something, which he dips the alien goop into. How did Charlie not notice this? Is he blind? Anyway, I'm sure we'll find out why David decided to poison Charlie later in the film, and I won't have to Google it myself. Right? Charlie and Elizabeth get their freak on, and meanwhile the biologist and geologist stumble across the funny room with the pillars. Do you remember that scene earlier in the film when these two ran back to the ship after reaching this room because they were freaked out? Me neither. The pillars are now oozing the black goop, creating a sort of river of black goop. The geologist notices movement under the surface and a penis alien fish rises from the liquid. Despite it acting exactly like a cobra and clearly trying to scare them off, the biologist decides the best course of action is to lean in for a handshake. Boah, if only biology was the study of living organisms, he'd have more common sense against this. I don't want to show you this next part because I hate it, so I shall recreate it through videos I found on Google. The alien wraps around the guy's arm and squeezes tight, snapping it in the middle. The other guy just kind of watches as this happens, not his arm, not his problem, but eventually uses a knife to cut the alien's head off, but it instantly grows back and for some reason his blood is acid. That can't feel good. The acid splashes onto the geologist's helmet, melting it onto his face and making him fall headfirst into the goop. The creature then dives into the other guy's suit through the hole made by the break in his arm, slithers up into his helmet and gives him a big kiss. And by kiss, I mean he crawls down his throat, killing him. The next morning, Charlie wakes up feeling rough. I guess he didn't get much sleep last night. Dirty dog. Some of the crew, including Elizabeth and Charlie, head off to rescue their stranded comrades, while David wanders off by himself. He gives the mission director a private livestream from his camera and finds a sort of arsenal filled with hundreds of the goopy alien cylinders. He also finds what looks to be a command center with multiple alien cryosleep chambers. He does the classic American police officer move of turning off his body cam, allowing him to explore the room in private. Of course, he just starts fingering anything he can, David, eventually triggering some hologram of hundreds of planets. I guess each of these represent a world the aliens gave life to. I mean, either that or it's just a planned route for an intergalactic pub crawl. Yeah, I can see my house from here. Once the hologram shuts off, David notices that one of the alien cryosleep pods is active, with a living alien sleeping within. Meanwhile, the rest of the crew find the body of the biologist, but the geologist is missing. I'm sure he's fine, he's only missing his face. Charlie then collapses and everyone finally notices that his skin is grey, so they all head back to the ship to quarantine him. Oh no, what if he throws a party anyway? They make it back to the ship and... oh, come on Charlie, stop milking it. I can see your skin is disintegrating, just walk it off. The director doesn't want to let him on the ship because he's clearly infected. Yes, that's what quarantine is for. He is not coming on my ship, he's clearly been infected with some kind of bug. Hug? No Charlie, no hug. Hug. Oh, don't you worry, YouTube demonetization bot, this isn't a real fire. Because it was clearly stated this planet has very little oxygen in its atmosphere. A real fire wouldn't be able to burn a man to death. Elizabeth then cries herself to sleep or something and wakes up under quarantine with David. He wants to make sure she wasn't infected by whatever Charlie had and through his tests discovers something terrible. Uh-oh, he gave her space AIDS. Oh god, it's even worse. He made her pregnant. She appears to be 3 months pregnant, which is impossible since she's only been awake for about a day. She starts freaking out about becoming a mother, but David reassures her by stating it isn't even a real baby. It's an alien. Oh, well done for de-escalating the situation, David. He explains they don't have the personnel to remove the baby and sedates her because she was making too much of a scene. Later she's woken by some of the crew to take her back to cryosleep, but she doesn't need sleep, she needs surgery, so assaults her colleagues and runs to a medical surgery pod. She programs it for the removal of a foreign body, and this next part is kind of gross, so look away if you don't like looking at women. The machine cuts her open, and one of those arcade claw machines pulls out the baby. The poor thing starts thrashing and squirming like, "Mother, why have you forsaken me?" And Elizabeth presses a button to terminate it. Yeah, fuck them kids. This is actually illegal in some US states. You can look back at the screen now because instead of a woman, it's a reanimated corpse. After taking a dunk in the alien goop, the geologist has returned to the ship as a weird, angry zombie alien guy. Why did the goop turn him into a rage-filled freak? Well, I'm sure the film will explain. Right, the crew does eventually dispose of him using their fake fire that somehow doesn't need oxygen. Meanwhile, Elizabeth has just been stumbling around the ship. I guess nobody is searching for her after she broke quarantine. She stumbles into the medical bay covered in blood and half naked, but nobody cares. They're too busy looking after that old guy from the recording. Surprise! I played that so well. You guys had no idea he was on the ship. Right. He wants to meet his makers face to face, so a small team of the crew is assembled to wake up that one alien that David found. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. Elizabeth joins them on their excursion because, it's already been 5 minutes since her major surgery, so she's fine. It's also revealed that the mission director is the old guy's daughter, but I literally don't care, and neither should you. They walk through the arsenal with the hundreds of cylinders, and the crew back on the ship realize what they're inside of. By checking their 3D model, they discover they're inside of a giant ship, loaded with enough funny black goo cylinders to wipe out hundreds of planets. Well, at least France will be destroyed. David wakes the alien from his cryosleep and he stands before his creations, towering over them like a tall alien. Oh, what a lovely moment of bonding between grandson and grandfather. This must be a traditional greeting on their planet. Nope, that just seems like mass murder. The alien kills everyone, except from David, who he just unplugged, and except from Elizabeth, who managed to run away despite her lower torso being held together by staples. The alien then begins powering up his planet-destroying ship, setting his destination for Earth. Seems like an overreaction. I mean, all we did was wake him up. The ground begins opening up, so Elizabeth has to jump to reach the ship. Again, she had major surgery like 20 minutes ago. She warns the others what the alien ship is carrying and where it's headed, telling them they have to stop it no matter what. The director abandons ship, allowing the captain and 2 pilots to give in to the masculine urge of self-sacrifice. The alien ship crashes to the ground and begins falling over, and oh my god, this is it. I'm finally witnessing the Prometheus school of running away from things. The director is crushed because running in a sensible direction is difficult, but Elizabeth survives because she found a rock. Well done. She heads to the Prometheus's ejected survival pod for supplies, but is roaring inside. She grabs a very bendy axe and makes her way back to the medical room where she finds her son. Look how big he's gotten. Come on, give him a hug, Elizabeth. I'm sure he doesn't bite. She then gets a DM from David telling her to run. The alien survived his crash landing and is very upset. He breaches the mini-ship and lunges at Elizabeth, but he had no idea this was a 2v1. She releases her son on him, and again, this part is gross, but while she escapes, the big tentacle monster overpowers the alien and kisses him really hard down the throat, killing him. She makes her way to find David, who apparently has Bluetooth arms, and he tells her there are more ships underground. He knows how to fly them, somehow, and he can take her home, but she doesn't want to go home. She wants to go find more of her alien traitors to ask why? Because that worked out so well last time. Before they leave, she sends a message out into space for anyone who's listening, but they forgot to play Linkin Park, so I don't think it will work. And the final scene of the movie shows a black alien emerging from the body of the white alien. This really says a lot about society. And the movie ends. Great movie. I enjoyed the part where a team of professional scientists made decisions like they had brain damage, and my favorite character was easily black alien goop that definitely isn't Venom, followed close in second by a white rugged actor that definitely isn't Tom Hardy. But yeah, if you enjoyed this recap, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next one. Thank you ever so much for watching.